I was waiting to jump to this story. So this one is this is a sad tale. A sad tale from our good friend Hank Green. Now, if you don't know Hank Green, he's one of the OG YouTubers. And he tweeted this. Which universe is the better one? One with humans, one without humans. Well, I voted for the one with humans because I'm human and I live here. But 41.1% said one without humans. He responded, I keep trying to do other versions of this poll, thinking that there's something wrong with the question. But it really does seem like 40% of you think humans shouldn't exist. And I find that so deeply outside of my perspective that I need to do a lot of thinking. He then added a little bit later, I feel like if an AI was like, quote, I'm 40% sure the universe without humans would be better, we'd be pretty worried. Here's the funny thing. These people don't get it. People like Hank Green. He's a default liberal. He's surrounded by default liberals and leftists. They hate human beings. So you were just mentioning it earlier, that it seems like, a lot of their policies are actually just to harm you. And I was mentioning something similar. Yeah. If you've got, here's the easy way to explain it. Hank Green's audience, probably swinging much more left. He's like a VidCon guy. He's a major mainstream personality with, so liberals probably follow him 80, 90%. If you're a Democrat politician and you see a poll like this, you know what that means? You're going to cater to the people who don't like human beings. So you're out there campaigning and you're like, look, half of these people are really concerned about their right to abortion because they have a lot of loose sex, a lot of men. And they want to be able to get abortions if they get pregnant. Fine. The other half just don't want humans to be alive anymore. Same solution to both problems. Certainly then the Democrats are going to advocate for that.
It's a lot of the same people who have been consuming a lot of nihilistic propaganda on social media for years about climate change. Every type of human invention that's ever been created is destroying the environment. Everything we've ever done and succeeded is in some way been reframed as a negative for the human experience. And what you were talking about earlier about social media and how they will sometimes mess with the algorithm, I get that on Sundays. I swear on Instagram, Sundays become the most nihilistic place ever on Instagram. It's nothing but the world is going to end in 10 years. Manufacturing is destroying the world, and it's all that stuff. And they consume that content all the time. And they've been led to believe that this type of hatred of humanity isn't just good, but something to be valorized.
And you know what they do? They complain about how there's like a great extinction phase happening and how the human actions are killing off all of these different forms of life. But they never stop to talk about the strange scientific experiments we're doing to bring life back, like trying to clone a woolly mammoth or pulling ancient viruses out of the ice sheets and resurrecting them.
Great ideas.
These are all great ideas that humans are doing.
Actually, when people saw that stuff during COVID, they're like, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should just not bring stuff out of the ice caps until we know for sure it's going to hurt.
But simply put, it really does feel like, everyone's always trying to figure out what the divide is. Like I've seen people say it's nationalist versus globalist. And it's like, there's a component of that. And I think it's algorithmic cult versus independent thought. But there is a component of humans are good and humans are bad. There's a component of, God is real and there is no God. And if you're a nihilist, and you think nothing matters, there's no morality, and everything is subjective, why would you want humans to be around at all? It's like Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen when he was like on Mars and he's like, would any of this be made better by humans? And the answer is yes, it would be. I mean, at least from a human perspective, because that's what we are and that's what we strive for, the feelings and experiences of being a human. I mean, I don't know. I was watching this little bird build a nest the other day, and I'm like, I wonder what bird society must be like. Do you think they're like, life is good, life is bad? Do you think they get depressed?
I think a lot of this, for a lot of the best way to describe this for me, the best experience that I've had knowing that people are very nihilistic right now is when we had sunshine in like January or February and it was like really nice out. And people are like, well, it's because of climate change, but we might as well enjoy it while we're here.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't snow.
No, we got like none this year.
None. And I was talking to some old guy and he's like, that's the first time. He's like 60 years old. He's like, it's the first time in my life I didn't get any snow. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But of course, the issue is not so much about whether or not there's snow. It's about whether or not humans are the direct impact. And so, what I see are causing the crisis. What I see with the left is like one without humans. What would this planet be without humans? It would just be a moist ball of rust, some kind of exotic rust on it, oxidization process.
And these people that vote to say that the world would be better without humans are the exact same people with the exact same mentality about America. They live in America as if they have to be, and then they're so anti-American. They're always saying that they want to see the downfall of America, but where is better?
Yeah.
Where is it that you see?
They never
what's
actually
better than
give you
here?
an answer. Not usually.
No, it's parts of places that exist. They want an a la carte society where they can say this is good in this place, this is good in this place, this is good in this place. So let's take all these things and bring them here. Yeah. And they imagine that they can just manufacture this society if they just say, well, these are the things that we want, and we'll just bring them here. And it's as if the people that are involved don't matter at all. And it's the blank slate applied to societies. Like, societies have cultures, societies have history, societies have different values from one society to another. So you can't just replicate the good things about one society in your society without having some kind of negative consequences or unforeseen consequences, at least. So I think that it's a lot of the idea that it is as simple as just, well, that works over there, so how come it doesn't work over here? It was the same mistake that we made when we went to Iraq. Yeah. The idea that we could just implement democracy in Iraq, like, oh, just get rid of the strong arm guy and we'll make a democracy and it'll work fine. Well, and that's not the way that people work.
The CIA's been doing that for years now. We're bringing a little democracy all over the place.
It's been working awesome.
Yeah. It's also a lot of Americans, what I've noticed, and this was long before I became politically aware, hate this country, seem to have if not a hatred of this country, they're embarrassed to be from here. And I never understood it.
It's really simple. Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Are you excited that there is water in your water bottle, or are you angry because it's half gone?
The glass is racist.
I'm just glad that I can drink the water here.
But this is I guess the thing the real divide may be optimism versus pessimism. If you look at the history of the United States, you can look at it a bunch of different ways. You can be honest and say there's a lot of really awful stuff and a lot of really good stuff. Or you can be angry and just say this country is bad no matter what. It's all bad, period. It's born of bad. It's bad. It's bad. That's stupid. And that's depressive. So these people are nihilistic. Half of them probably just want to burn everything down because they hate humans. The other half refuse to seek out the good because there's something wrong with them, I guess. I look back at American history, and if someone comes to me and says, do you know what the Americans did to the Native Americans and, in this place and that place? And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I read about that. That's awful. I can't believe they would do that. And then it's like, do you also know about the good things this country has done over the past several hundred years as we've dramatically improved upon all of those things and got to the point where you have now been educated in publicly funded institutions explaining we think those are bad things.
Yeah.
Think about the college student who's like, America is awful and racist. I learned that at a publicly funded university. Mm. The government's paying you so you can learn about how we don't like those things anymore, and they still think this country is a problem. Mm-hmm. I think the end result is just the left will cease to exist. They try to indoctrinate your kids, the only thing they can do, but it's not working. And then the right is going to just have a bunch of babies, and then 20 years, there we go.
You don't think it's working?
What, like the education stuff?
I'm saying that you don't think that the indoctrination from the left is working. In my eyes,
it's not working.
You don't think so? Why?
So for one, shows like this, we consistently have the highest live viewer count on YouTube, which is a good sign. You can see the Budweiser backlash, The View being desperate. Obviously, there is leftist indoctrination. It is very strong. But I'm speaking specifically and referring to kids. It is, in my opinion, not working.
Okay.
So simply put, when parents realize what's happening at their schools, start pulling their kids out, when there is now a national conversation around school choice and getting kids out of public schools and moving away from these places, it didn't work. And what I mean ultimately is I think conservatives are going to have more kids. Those kids are more likely to be conservative. They're going to learn from their parents. The parents are waking up, not all of them, but many of them are waking up to what's going on in schools. The left is beginning to fail with places like Florida and other states reforming these laws and banning this stuff. It may lead to hyperpolarization, but ultimately, if you're advocating, if there were two countries and they were at odds with each other, and on one side they were saying, have more babies, discipline yourself, strengthen yourself, eat right, exercise. And the other country was saying, be as fat as you want, abort your children and sterilize them. Would there be any question to which country would cease to exist in 20 years? None whatsoever. So just because we are the United States doesn't mean to me that there is a mesh here. Clearly, the hyperpolarization is so pronounced that the left and the right are at such fundamental odds that they may as well be two different countries, to the point where people are advocating for national divorce. And then what do you see? Give it over a long enough period of time. Math is just math. People who don't have kids tend not to exist in several generations. People who have kids tend to pass on their ideas.
Then you got to get those kids out of our state-run colleges, because I think we can raise all the conservative kids we want, but if we send them to public schools where they will later be indoctrinated further into those ideologies, I don't know if it matters. I think you have to start at the elementary, at the school level, and then all the way up to colleges. You have to reform and not allow those kids to be constantly flooded with the same type of propaganda that we're seeing now.
But I think we're moving in that direction. I think the left, everybody likes to talk about, I shouldn't say everybody, but there are prominent individuals talking about universities and the leftist ideology and how it's spread and all that. But it was never that strong until 2011, 2012. I think it's when social media algorithms, it was 2008.
It was never that strong in the U.S.
Around the world. Social media algorithms made every country on the planet basically see this massive spike in these conversations. However, I think that was bad for them. I think if they had maintained the quiet edge and slow rolled this ideology over a long period of time, they'd have won. Instead, the algorithms slapped everybody in the face with the most insane versions of these ideologies that now people are pushing back on it. Universities are starting to get heat because of it, and people are hyperpolarizing.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think for a while the left was starting to win with their indoctrination, but the pendulum is starting to shift back over to the right, because what's happening is the left continues to get more radical. They're going further and further right, while the right is just sitting in the same place.
Left.
Sorry, yeah, the left is getting further and further left, and the right is just sitting there just trying to be sane. And I always tell people, if you want to help influence people to do more research or to maybe reconsider their mentality, you don't even have to go deep into like policies and politics. Just talk about the culture. Like, have you seen the things with these naked education shows where there's all these shows where they're getting naked in front of children? There is no sane person in existence that's going to look at that and not think that it's foul. So when you present that and you're like, well, guess which side supports this and is all for this, they start to question their own mindset.
I want that stuff to be spread around as much as possible. I want as many parents to see that kind of stuff as possible.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.